My eyes shot open, reflectively tightened up, and looked towards the door. It's 12:01 a.m. Christmas morning, and at any moment that door to the bedroom will burst open and my two beautiful children will run in giggling with presents already in hand. Seconds passed and nothing happened. It took a full minute before I remembered no one would be coming through the door this year. The kid's accident was only a couple months ago. I wake up most mornings for the briefest moment of every day. I forget they are gone. I find myself lying in bed listening to their laughter or cries for breakfast to fill the house before the pain of losing them hits me as fresh as the day it happened. It was a car accident that took them away. I was supposed to pick them up after school, but work ran late. I called my daughter Samantha, who is 13, 3 years older than her brother Ryan was, and told her they would have to walk home. It was only a couple of blocks away and they had done it plenty of times before. It was not a big deal, except the day it would be. She was only a kid, around the age of 25, and did not see them crossing the street. She was probably texting, eating, or doing one of the 100 things people do while driving, other than paying attention. It did not matter because what she was doing. She hit both of them and they did not make it. Ryan died right there on the road while the ambulance tried to bring Samantha to the hospital in time to save her life. They were not fast enough, and in the span of 20 minutes, my life was destroyed. Janet, my wife at the time, blamed me. Of course she did. It would have not happened if I just picked them up, as I was supposed to. She made it through the funeral and burials before leaving, and thinking back on it, I could not blame her. I can't stand the sight of myself either. That's why all the mirrors in the house are shattered, and why the gun I bought last week was already loaded and waiting the nightstand by the empty bed. All these thoughts rushed through my head as I dragged myself out of bed and put my head in my hands. It was the first Christmas I had to spend alone. The house dark and empty. Last year, this time, the kids were awake and already opening one special present they had picked out to start Christmas with. The tree would be lit, casting a festive glow in the living room. The smell of cocoa and coffee would be strong in the air, but it was the laughter and joy that would wake me up the most. As a parent, there was nothing better than seeing your kids excited and happy, and nothing does that more than opening presents on Christmas Day. I closed my eyes and tried to collect my thoughts, but a sound from the living room grabbed my attention. It sounded like a soft thud of little feet trying to be as quiet as they snuck through the house. A sound I have not heard in months, shuffling on the bed. I made my way towards the sound, opening the door to the bedroom and looking out into the empty living room. This is where they would be sitting, right under the tree, presents in hand, waiting for a sign they could start ripping into their presents. Of course, no one is there now. The room was dark and the fake tree was still in its box, propped up against the wall and unopened. It hurt too much to try and get ready for Christmas without them, and it hurt too much to even try. Looking at the empty living room, I could almost feel them there, sitting legs crossed looking towards our room, waiting to see if they were ready. They would only each get to open their one present and then get whatever was in their stockings, mostly little dollar store trinkets and candy, but it was still exciting to see them, even though they were getting too old for the cheap toys. It was never going to be that way again. The holiday of love and joy for everyone else will be a constant reminder of what I lost. I'm made worse by the fact that all of our families, neighbors, and even strangers are coming together, putting aside their differences and problems to have this one special day together. And here I am alone. The weight of my gun in my hand snaps me back to the cold, dark room that is my life now, reminding me that there is still a way out. I look towards the tree and imagine it was like last year, blue and silver twine circling bright blue LCD lights, superhero and Disney character ornaments from the theme parks and the rest stops that the kids always had to have, descendant glass orbs that were a wedding gift, and two angels looking back, smiling and waiting for me to join them. I'm coming, I thought. As I felt the cold of the metal gun barrel against my temple, I pulled the trigger. The sound was louder than anything I've ever experienced. I heard it, a fraction before the pain hit. So loud I could not see. The world went black as all my senses faded until all I could experience was the roar between my ears. When the pain finally came, it was almost a relief. The sound did not stop, but my focus shifted from an earth-shattering rumbling into a drill-like sensation that started in my temple and started boring inward. The combination of both sound and pain dropped me to my knees, the gun slipping from my hand. Reflectively, my hand shot up to the source of the pain and found nothing. Not a mark on the spot just seconds ago. I shot a bullet. "Can we open our presents now, Daddy?" A voice cut through the pain, and I struggled to open my eyes to find the source. The dark, empty room I was in moments ago was transformed when my eyes finally peered pried open. The first thing I noticed was that everything was bathed in a red flickering light, the glow coming from the back wall where the unopened Christmas box tree used to sit. Now in its place was fully decorated tree. Instead of the blue and silver of years past, the tree was now dressed in red tinsel and lights that contained actual flickering flames that gave the appearance of the tree being accustomed by the fire. Blood-red ornaments seemed to drip through the light throughout the tree and reflective the glow around the room. Sitting on the floor in front of me, presents in hand, were my children. Their matching green Christmas pajamas tinged red from the glowing tree, making them look muddy and unclean. Their backs were met to me, but from where I was standing I could see something was not right. Ryan's small arm was bent unnaturally at the elbow, given an insect-like appearance, and the hand was rested on this present was twitching uncontrollably. The fingers tapping on the wrapping paper of the present at first seemed like he was merely trying to open it, but the more I watched I could tell it was a voluntary spasm of pain. The floor under Samantha's crossed legs was covered in blood. I could not tell if it was coming from her or the presence on her lap. Maybe both. Her head turned towards me, when I could just see about her face and head flopped back into clear broken neck. Empty jet black eyes looked directly at me. A thin red trail of blood escaped her mouth, traveled upwards towards her face, and started to pool in the corner of her left eye. "Can we open our presents now, Daddy?" she asked again, her voice deeper. Then I remembered that none of the joy or light she had was when she was alive. I had to get out of the house. The pain in my head is unbearable and dulling my equilibrium. But I managed to stumble out the door. Outside was almost pitch black. All the lights on the streets and neighboring buildings were off. The only source of light was coming from a full blood moon, casting an odd dark orange hue over everything in sight. A loud, wet-sounding thud caught my attention down the road, and I slowly make my way to the apartment building down the street. The pain comes in waves, pressure building up in my skull, blinding me. It got so bad that I fell to my knees. There was not anything around that could help. The street was empty, and the businesses and houses along with the road were boarded up and looked abandoned. Nothing looked like it did yesterday. Once I was finally able to get moving, I saw a light in the living room a couple of houses down on the right of where I fell. I walked towards the light, and I could see this figure standing at the window looking out towards the road in my direction. It was a woman, pale white skin, wearing a white wedding dress. As I got close, she raised her hand as if waving to me, and I saw the marks on her arm. They were 4-inch slit starting from where her palm met her wrist down to her mid-forearm. Blood slowly pumped into the thick coverts down her arm and onto her white dress, staining it instantly. The pain flared up again, and I stumbled in front of the window. She looked down at me almost understandably before she turned and disappeared inside her house. We could not help each other, but just as she seemed to understand what I was going through, I felt I understood her loss as well. It was this day, Christmas Day. For most, it was a reminder of what they had, but for us, it was too much of a reminder of what was lost. I collect myself for a moment before another loud, wet thud brought me back. I pushed onward, trying to find a way out of this nightmare. The streets' Christmas decorations were still up, but the lights were all dead. The usual joyful colors and forest green wreaths and red candy canes looked dull and corded on the seemingly abandoned buildings. Ripped and haphazardly hung tinsel clung to the patches into the dark streetlights. Movement above me caught my attention. Hanging from the streetlights, almost hidden by moss-colored tinsel, was a slightly overweight man. He appeared to be dead for some time, his dark features made even more obscure by the pooling of the blood in his face and around the noose hung from his neck. His large fat tongue stuck out between the thick swollen lips like a diseased, overgrown worm. He was dressed in a dirty Santa suit that seemed to have a lot of wear and not enough to care on it, and I could smell the sweat, vile mixture of alcohol and vomit. Another wave of pain and pressure made me collapse into a ball directly under the man. The unkempt Santa's eyes shot open and he looked at me. He began to struggle against the rope holding him in the street light, his legs kicking, rocking himself violently back and forth while grunting for help. Just another sad soul claimed by this unholy night. All I could do was crawl forward. The pain kept me from getting to my feet. I could not help the man. I could not help my family, and I could not help myself. I hear the thud again, this time right beside me. The sound was a wet smack of flesh hitting something solid. I rolled over onto my side and tried to get a look of what was making that horrid sound, and I found myself staring into the bloodshot eyes of a man in a bloody and ripped-up tailored suit. His body was smashed, broken. Blood leaked from his eyes and mouth into a dark, neatly trimmed jet-black goatee. He must have fallen from the building to my left. Some kind of business office. I could not tell what company, and reading and moving my head so much caused the pain to intensify. As I looked into the man's eyes, face and jaw, his mouth twisted into a surprised frown. He tries to raise himself up to his hands and knees, but the bones in his forearms were shattered and jagged, cream-tinted shards were breaking through the skin. He shrieked in agony and collapsed back onto his stomach. I could hear the horrible grinding and tearing sound as his body shuddered. All I could do was watch in horror as the bones retreated into his skin. While screaming, he forced his way upright once again. Standing in front of me, I could see that his body was almost completely healed. His left arm still hung over off his shoulder, socked, and he stood then on an ankle that was bent sideways on an angle that could only mean the bone was still broken. But all that pain seemed to have left him. Instead, what replaced the agony on his face just moments before was a puzzled bewilderment, as if I was not even there, where he searched the surrounding area, as if he was looking for something he just lost. He quickly found what he was looking for and straightened himself out. I can see he was now standing there with a worn and battered briefcase in hand. He adjusted to the left of his bloodied Christmas tree tie and walked back to the building I suspected he fell from. If you happen not to see the dark spreading blotches of blood or the rip and tears in his suit, he would just look like any other corporate businessman going to work Christmas morning. I felt a desperate need to get out of there no matter what it would take, ignoring the deliberating pain. I stood up and blindly started running, not caring about the direction I was heading. The only goal was to escape the awful things I have been witnessing. Nothing was going to slow me down. Not the pain, not the nauseating roar in my head, not even the wet, loud thud of a body hitting the pavement again behind me. I did not stop running until my legs could no longer carry me, and out of breath I stumbled upon an old, abandoned house. The pain was too intense. I fought the urge to lie down and using my shoulder. I forced the door to the house open and tripped into the living room. The living room of the house was dark, and the fig tree was still in its box, propped up against the wall unopened. It hurt too much not to get ready for Christmas without them, and it hurts too much to try. looking at the empty room. I can almost feel them there, sitting legs crossed looking towards our room, waiting to see when we were ready. They would get to each open their one present and then get whatever was in their stocking, mostly little dollar store trinkets and candy. But it was still exciting to see them, even though they were getting too old for the cheap toys. It was never going to be that way again. I felt the weight of my gun in my hand. I imagined seeing the kids sitting by the tree. Imagine Christmas how it's supposed to be. The best day of the year. The time where you are with your family and loved ones and all that pain is gone. I want their smiling faces to be the last thing I think about. And I put the gun to my hand with tears welling up in my eyes. I pulled the trigger. The sound was louder than anything I've ever experienced, and it came before the pain.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.